You're tuned in to KPYT 100.3 Yoemi Radio, the voice of the Paskayaki tribe. It is your Snake Break with your host, Gabriel the Snake Otero. And with me here, I got two of the fellas from Touch the Buffalo. And they can go ahead and introduce themselves and let us know where they're from and what they're doing here on KPYT.
What's up, man? Yeah, I'm John Johnson.
I'm Tyler Beard.
And I'm the lead singer and ukulele player and piano player for Touch the Buffalo. And
I play a little bit of guitar.
He's the whiz kid over here. And we're kind of out of the Washington D.C. Northern Virginia area.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of one big circle loop right there, and you're in 3 states in one.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. So the band started as a duo with John and Mike, correct?
Yeah. So Mike is no longer with the band, but like there's a giant music scene out here in the DC area, and like bands kind of shuffle musicians a lot, so we're all still buddies and stuff like that. But yeah, so Mike's just this crazy talented drummer, and I used to just kind of play a handful of gigs by myself, and I got this drummer to tag along with me, and then we met a bassist named Manny at an open mic. And Manny is actually my connection to Tyler. So we had another a guitarist first, and back in 2017 when we started, and after 7 months, he went on to a different project. And Manny's like, I know a guitarist that I think is going to really elevate our sound if you want to bring him on. So we brought him on, and the first songs Tyler wrote with us were "Hardest For," which you have, and then also "Nerd Love." So yeah, that's kind of how it started and progressed to the modern lineup.
And that's really neat how a lot of local scenes and musicians, they do kind of share musicians, or especially if you have a great drummer, everyone wants the drummer, but
yeah.
Open mic night is another way, you meet some people and then they know another friend, and the network just grows strong like that. And but you definitely got to find people you vibe and connect with. So did you guys find a pretty solid connection as in terms of songwriting or?
Absolutely. Okay, so it's so interesting. So before I had like 10 songs before I met anybody, and I bring Mike along, and I had this vision for what I had for these songs, and Mike's got this strong hard rock background, and it turns these songs into something new. So this experience I have is like, well, my songs are elevating in a way I didn't plan, but this is delightfully new. And then we bring Tyler on board, and Tyler, it was like with Nerd Love, he was in my head, and then he was taking it in directions that like a smarter version of me would have gone in. I'm like, oh yeah, that's correct, but I didn't think about that. So yeah, I feel incredibly lucky, to have found that kind of like songwriter bond. And so I mentioned the bassist earlier, Manny. So our band is like 5 years old now. It's hard to keep people for more than a couple of years, especially when you're not seeing like big, results. So Manny is another one of the kind of Mike situation where he's a friend of ours, but he's moving on to different projects. But Tyler ended up doing for us what Manny had done, and he brought on our current bassist George, and we're having a similar experience with George, where he's just like, oh hey, I'm in the same space you guys are at mentally, and did you consider this? And it's just kind of a delightful, lucky, serendipitous coincidence that we've got all these songwriters that just kind of, I don't know, I'm excited about what's ahead of us.
All right. And so Tyler, how do you feel you contributed to the group?
Tyler's shy.
Yeah, I bring the ladies.
Yeah, I try to bring ladies here and there when I'm able to. And I play the guitar. I'm just happy to be here,
What kind of sound do you, Tyler, do you have when, like, did you be playing with other groups before when you came over here? Did you kind of have to change your guitar tones and sounds, or did it kind of naturally fit?
So actually, I'm in territories where I've never really been before, in terms of guitar tones, and a lot of it's stuff that I don't even necessarily listen to as day-to-day music. I'm going way out there, so
nice.
At least I'm trying to. Hopefully it sounds good.
No. Well, from what I'm hearing, it sounds really, really good. And it's good to explore tones, and whatever fits the sound that you guys are going for.
Yeah, a lot of the times that's I'm trying to play to the songs and make this, help elevate the songs the best that I can. So
awesome. And that's the best way to do it. Let me see what other questions I have here. So I'm kind of curious, like with the duo, I don't mean to go back to the duo, but the uke and the drummer, what kind of gigs were you getting? You had mentioned that you were doing shows a lot by yourself. Was it a little bit like a lot of open mic because it's just so, I mean, two musicians, one musician?
Yeah, it was for it was open mics, and then there was like there was the special artist set. Open mics do a thing where they'll give like a half hour set to like a designated artist, and so you're a featured artist set. So so we would do like a featured artist set, but also we had friends who at those open mics were booking their own gigs, and they would need to line up openers. And so that's when you're first starting out. That's what you do. You buddy up to people like, hey, can you help me out? Can you help me along? And so a friend of ours, Janelle Delia, shout out to her. She makes great music too, still a friend of ours, and she's one of the actresses in our music video for Hardest for. She gave us an opening gig, I think, and also my sister's a musician. She had given us some opening gigs, so that's what I was. And then eventually I figured out how to like contact promoters for shows and book shows. And so there's a lot of spots in DC where you can just email somebody, ask to play, and they'll let you do it.
Nice. What kind of reaction were you getting when you were playing these shows by yourself compared to the full group?
Oh, you know what? So, okay, mixed. The first show we ever had, well, it wasn't a duo. The first show was Manny was there, but it was at this place called Iota, which is shut down now. And there was these two guys in the back who were losing their minds to it. And afterwards, they had to pay $10 to get in, and it was a 5-band lineup. So it's not, it was no one's making huge money here. But they came up to us and like, hey, that was worth the $10 because I guess I have an electric ukulele which no one had seen before, and then it's just this tiny little instrument and this giant drummer just going nuts. So the first X amount of months, you're even a year or so, you're doing something. We had a lot of polishing to do with our sound and our performance, but there was still an element to it that I think is exciting for people to see.
Very cool. Yeah, electric ukulele. I mean, I never seen that before. If you throw some effects on it or something, I'm sure you're blowing some minds there.
If you get a chance, I mean, no pressure, but if you get a chance to go through the album, like so one of the guitars you hear in there is actually not a guitar, it's an electric ukulele, and I'm using tones on it as well.
What song was that?
Well, I mean, most of them. So Hardest for, that's the acoustic ukulele, but there is a gain effect on it. But the rest of the songs, well, there's another song called Food Stamps, which is another acoustic ukulele with a gain effect on it. But every other song is an electric ukulele with some distortion effect on it.
Well, we're going to get back to the music. We are in the Snake Den with Touch the Buffalo, and we're going to play one of their tracks called Jameson and the Angry Soul. And you heard it first right here on KPYT, KPYU, your Snake Break. You are tuned in to another Snake Break right here on KPYT and KPYU. And in the Snake Den, we have Touch the Buffalo. And before our last break, we were kind of talking about finding sounds either with the ukulele and guitar. And is there anything you would like to add on that note?
I do want to add, just because, so I'll say it again, Tyler, not to knock Tyler, he's a little shy. This guy's amazing. So he is playing with sounds. He's in spaces he's never been before. But from my assessment, Green Day is a big, important band to Tyler. And with the sound, sometimes I hear like Aerosmith kind of style guitar coming in. And the whole band has a giant fascination and love for, all rock history from, I don't know, the 60s on. I don't know. I mean, I don't necessarily hear that sound still alive in modern music. And I'm not necessarily young, but some of the band is young and they've got an ear for what's coming up. And then we also have a love for what's, kind of been done before. And I think that is what is, I think it kind of nice about our sound. We're paying homage to a lot of classic rock, but we're also trying to do something new.
Yes. And that, and I heard that right away. And I never like to tell bands, what I got out of it, because no, that's not what we were going for. But I could even hear like a little bit of the '90s rock, like REM's voice a little bit, but then
I'll take it.
Rock, up tone. The melodies are just great, very swingy rhythms as well. The Jameson and the Angry Soul, that rhythm is just so like So it's just you hear that, and that's what catches people's ear. It's kind of breaking all genres, but relatable, because you can, I hear a little bit of the 80s in there. I hear a little bit of the 90s. Can go back to the 60s, but all of it sounds good.
And the way I see it is like those rock ballads, those moments, like they hit you at certain points of your life. And so music is going to change over time for the next generation. But this part of me just wants to make sure like every next generation can still have those moments. Remember the first time you heard, I don't know, Bohemian Rhapsody or Stairway to Heaven, like Like, even if rock doesn't necessarily have a spot in the future, which I don't think is the case, but I still want to make sure people get to have those same moments that I got to have.
Well, I want to get Tyler some spotlight here. So we were talking a little bit about influences here. So John mentioned Green Day. What are other influences as far as music and maybe guitarists that really inspired you growing up?
So, like you said, Aerosmith, Green Day. I was a big Nirvana fan. I kind of jump all over the place because my dad gave me a bunch of CDs. Like, my dad thought I was a dork, but I was really into Johnny Cash for a long time, which, you're not super known for his guitar parts, but I kind of go from there all the way over to like Avenged Sevenfold, So
nice. I when you say baby, like that part of the song, yeah. I always hear, don't get upset. What is it? Chevelle, a breakdown.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't go into that. It goes completely different. But how you get your voice up like that, I'm like, oh yeah.
I love Chevelle. Like Red was a big song for me in high school. But I'll tell you exactly
that's the song I'm talking about. Yeah.
Oh, great song. Well, I wasn't thinking about that, but I would love the comparison. It was the Beatles actually. It was the song I don't care too much for money.
I'm not too sure if I know that.
I don't care too much for money. Money can't buy me love.
Money can't buy me love. Yeah.
Yeah. So that energy, that's kind of what inspired that.
Yeah. Really cool. But yeah, like I said, you could hear the mix of genres. It's not quite that. It's not quite that, but it just sounds good. Just go with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's cool. It's always great to see when the influences come together in a group and then it still comes off as an original sound.
I'm so glad that it's someone else is telling me that's what it sounds like, because that's what I was going for. That's what we were going for. Yeah.
Well, that's good. Oh, I heard it. All right. So recently you played the Richmond International Film Festival and ended up winning Best Indie Rock Band in 2021. How did this happen? Do you guys just like show up at the festival, played the gig, and they're like, we nominate you and you win?
It was so exciting. So like I had no idea I was going to play. There's a site called Reverb Nation. That's kind of where we get all of our opportunities from. You just apply. And so we got a chance to play at a few festivals last summer, and the Richmond International Film Festival was one. I didn't even know it was going to be a competition. We show up there, and like I guess the MC is like, hey, this all these bands are playing tonight. Everyone who's here listening, be aware that vote at the end of the night, vote for your favorite band, per category. And like so we were just happy to be at this festival, and play live in front of people kind of during, at this point in time, I think it was Delta was kind of on the downswing, but still, COVID's kind of scary. So we're playing the show. Our first set with that night, like there was genuine technical difficulties, like the power cut out, I think on our sixth song. So, but the band's got energy. The songs go, and like as kind of like reserved as Tyler seems now, he's an animal. He has a Bluetooth thing in his guitar, so he doesn't have to have a 1/4-inch cable. He's not connected to the amp. He hops off the stage. He's in the crowd. He's on tables. He's taking photos on the red carpet with people while playing the show with us. So
you're my hero.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I definitely think that put us over the top. But again, we were happy to be there. If we won it all, that was nice. And the fact that we won was just a cherry on top.
Hey, is this the Tyler that's in front of me right now that you're speaking of?
Yeah. This is a show.
Tell me a little bit more about this. What got in you that made you want to jump off stage and jump on that red carpet?
I may have had a couple of beverages.
That always helps. But you must have been feeling it, and I'm guessing.
Yeah. I a lot of the time, it's like I want to do what's right for the show, or try to elevate the show, or take you out of what's happening every day and put you somewhere where everyone's having a little bit of fun together.
And that's important as entertainers. We can be the average Joe, but when we're on stage, you guys are entertainers and people want a show. So sounds like you got out of your comfort zone that evening for sure.
Yeah.
That's really cool that Reverb Nation provided you that opportunity and you guys were there. And at the end of the night, end up winning Best Indie Group. I mean, that's kind of unheard of in our rock and roll history. So,
oh, nice.
You guys made rock and roll history.
Yeah.